Hi everybody, it's Crystal. So today I'm going to be showing you how to crochet this super oversized snowflake. Now I do have to spray start. I stiffened it, but it being such a big snowflake, I'm gonna have to put some spray starch on it as well to keep it nice and straight. But it's pretty firm right now on the blocking boards. In here, right here. But anyways. So I'm going to be teaching you how to make this one. Now this one's big. It's like 14 inches. Like that, you know, from across. I was a bit ashamed that I couldn't make a snowflake smaller. Okay, so I started out with this one here, right? And this one's 9 inches long. And I made it, and I showed it on Facebook, and I said that I was going to try to make another one that was smaller. Well, here's the outcome of the other one. And I realized I couldn't make a small snowflake. But a lot of people had suggested that once you get them stiffened and everything, they'd be good for windows or, you know, any type of decoration in the house. And even someone mentioned that, you know, hanging them outside. So you can definitely get like a spray. They make outdoor weatherproof spray for fabrics. So yeah, that'd be awesome too. And then when you're done, I mean, I thought that was a great idea that she mentioned that. You can also, I'm going to probably put little beads on mine. Decorate mine up once it's completely stiff. To tell you the truth, it's still just a teeny tiny tad wet. But I'll probably decorate mine up and then give them to my mom. She'll do something with them. So this is the tutorial for this one right here, the big one. I don't have a tutorial for the smaller one as of yet. For this tutorial, you'll need, definitely going to need something to block on. So this is a blocking board. You don't have to use that. You can use a piece of styrofoam. You can use a rug, carpet, your bed, anything that you can stick pins into to hold the piece down. Alright, so I use T-pins, but you can use any type of pin that you want. It took about 150 to 175 pins to pin that down. Only because snowflakes take a lot more pins because they have a lot more things you need to pin. A lot of picots and curves and whatnot. And then you're going to need some type of stiffener. So for this snowflake, for these snowflakes, I did use Mod Podge. And I mixed it 3/4 Mod Podge with 1/4 water, you know, that mixture, 75-25. You can also, this is also a very good brand. You can get this on Amazon. You can spray starch, but make sure you get the kind that doesn't require ironing. You can get powdered starch and mix it with water. And, you know, I'll show you how to do the stiffening at the end. It's really easy. You just kind of dunk it in and stuff like that. But like I said, bigger ones like this, they might require either you to do the stiffening process twice, or for me, I'm going to spray. I got some Elmer's fabric spray stiffener that I'm going to use on this once it's dried completely. Alright, as I mentioned, I use KC cotton. It's 100% cotton. It's a 3-weight 100% cotton. And I used a size F. Like I said, I think it's a 3.5 or 3.75. I can't remember. Crochet hook. Now, some of you are going to ask, do I have to use 100% cotton? Now, my answer to that would be, no, you do not. You can use acrylic. Now, during the stiffening process, cotton, 100%, or 85 or above, something like that. Stuff like bamboo, 100% bamboo or viscose. Natural fibers like this, they absorb the stiffening product, right, into the fiber. So it stays stiff longer. Like, it could stay stiff forever. Now acrylic doesn't, the stiffening, no matter what you use to stiff it, it doesn't penetrate the acrylic as well as it does natural fibers. So yes, you can definitely use, you know, any of that stuff that I just showed, Mod Podge, whatever. You can use Elmer's glue, even on this too, 50-50 on that, stuff like that. It will work, and you can pin it down to the board. And I but it won't stay stiff as long as natural fibers. But yes, it'll stiffen. Definitely. It definitely will. So if you want it to, I've never stiffened acrylic before. I know that you can, and I know how. I know you do it the same way as you do these. I just never have done it because I know it doesn't last as long. So before when I used to use thread, I would only use cotton, you know, or even not thread. Just when I would stiffen things, I would only use cotton, and every once in a while bamboo, because I knew that it would stay, you know, forever. But acrylic, if you've stiffened acrylic, let me know in the comments what you used and how long it lasts for. Maybe it lasts forever. I don't know. I just read that it doesn't last as long because it can't penetrate like the acrylic, acrylic's plastic, made from plastic. It can't penetrate it like it can these natural fibers. But you know, it's up to you. It still will stiffen, and you know, it'll be fine. But yes, I use cotton. Bamboo is another excellent choice for. It will penetrate that quite well. And it won't take a whole one of these, so for the big snowflake. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. I'm using a brown, the brown, so you can see it better. You ain't gonna be able to see white if I use that. And also remember, you can use like cotton thread and smaller weight yarns. It'll make your ornament smaller. I don't know how much smaller, but it will make it smaller. Feel free to use whatever size of yarn you want. All right. Okay. Now, I'm not going to show you how to do the whole snowflake, but I will show you how to do it up until you'll be able to do it yourself. Because I'm going to try to make as many different ones as possible, and I don't need two of the same. Plus, this one takes quite a bit of time to do. It's not hard. It's just single crochet and double crochet. I just say it's a bit tedious. How about that? And time consuming. But it sure does make a pretty snowflake. All right, let's start off with a slip knot on our hook. Now remember, this is for the biggest one that you've seen. All right. Sorry, I got glue on my fingers, so if you see that, there's glue all over them. Dried up glue. All right. Start out with a chain of 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we're going to slip stitch into the first stitch to form a ring. If you want to use the magic circle, that would be just fine as well. Okay, we're going to chain 1, which does not count as a stitch, and we're going to work through the center of the ring, and we're going to work 12 double crochets. So we're going to yarn over, go through the ring, drop a loop, and double crochet. And since that chain 1 doesn't count as a stitch, we now have 1 double crochet through the ring. And we're going to continue around for row 1 until we have a total of 12 double crochets through the center of the ring. There's 2, 3. All right, continue, and I'll see you in a second. All right, once you make it all the way around, you have 12 double crochets. We're going to end round 1 by slip stitching into our first one. Just like that. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to be working in between the double crochets. So not into the top of the stitch, but in between them. So just go ahead and slip stitch in between the next 2. So just in between the stitches. Okay, slip stitch in that, chain 1 to begin. We're on row 2, and we're going to be working double V stitches, which in this pattern is 2 double crochets, chain of 3, and 2 double crochets all into the same stitch. So we will go in between these 2 double crochets, and we're going to work 2 doubles in there. There's 1, 2. We're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. I'd highly recommend making your chains a little tight if you can. Tighter than, you know, not real loose. and then go back in and work 2 more double crochets. There's 1, and there's 2. All right, now we're going to chain 3. We're starting to repeat a row 2. 1, 2, 3. We're going to skip 2 doubles, so 1, 2, and we're going to work in between the next 2, and we're going to work a double V stitch in between the doubles, not in the top. So we're going to do 2 doubles, 1, 2, chain 3, back into that same spot, and 2 more doubles. There's 1 and 2, and then we're going to repeat that again. We're going to chain 3. Remember to make them chains a little tight if you can. 1, 2, 3. Skip 2 doubles, so just look at the post of the doubles. 1, 2, and in between the next 2 we do the double V again. So we're just going to go ahead and repeat this pattern all the way around. We're going to double V, which is 2 doubles, chain 3, 2 doubles, chain 3, and then skip 2 doubles, and then go back in between the next 2 and do it again. All right, we should have 6 of these, I think. Yeah, when you make it back around. All right, I'll see you at the end of round 2. All right, I'm coming to the end of round 2. I just did my last double V stitch. You should have 6 of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Make sure you chain 3 after your last one. You should have 2 stitches left to skip, and I do. 1, 2. Slip stitch into your first double crochet of your first double V stitch. That ends round 2. Now we're going to go ahead and slip stitch over to the chain space of our first double V stitch. All right. If it looks like I'm having a hard time, it's not because it's hard. It's because I don't use these small hooks very often. So, all right. So we're going to slip stitch over to this chain space of this first double V stitch. So we're going to slip stitch into the next double, and then into the next chain space. All right. And we are going to chain 1, and we're going to work a double V stitch in the chain space of this double V stitch. So we're going to work 2 doubles. There's 1 and 2. We're going to chain 3, go back into the same space, and work 2 more doubles. So we just did a double V in the chain space of the previous double V. Just like that. Okay. Now we're going to work into this chain 3 space. We are going to work a chain 1. And we're going to single crochet into this chain 3 space. This is the one in between the double V stitches. Single crochet into it. Now we're going to do a some picots. All right. So we're going to do first a chain 3 picot. So we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to go back into the kind of the side of this single crochet right here and slip stitch like that. Slip stitch that, and that makes a chain 3 picot. Now we are going to do a chain 5 picot. So we just slip stitch. Now we're just going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're going to slip stitch in that same spot again. So right here in the side of that same single crochet. That kind of pull it tight with pull your working arm back, and now we're going to do another chain 3 picot. So again, we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to slip stitch into that same spot one more time. Like that, and I always pull my working arm back to tighten it up. Then we're going to chain 1 And we're going to jump to our next double V here, the chain space, and work a double V into that chain space. So we got 2 doubles. There's 1, 2, chain 3, and 2 more doubles into that same space. And we'll go ahead and look what we just did real quick. So what we did was, it's okay if it's looking crooked or anything to you. They all get straightened out with the blocking process. So we did a chain 3 picot, a chain 5, and a chain 3 picot all into that same single crochet. So it made like a little bit of a 3-leaf clover appearance. Remember, all this can be adjusted and shaped to your liking during the blocking process. All right, that's what we're going to repeat all the way around. So again, we are after this double V here, we're going to chain 1, and in the chain 3 space between the double V's, we're going to work our picots again. But first, we have to single crochet right through the space, like that, and we're going to do a chain of 3, 1, 2, 3, and slip stitch into the side of that single crochet. And that is our first chain 3 picot. Take your working yarn, pull a little bit tight like that. Now we're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Slip stitch into the exact same space again. Take your working yarn, give it a little tug. Now we're going to do a chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and again we slip stitch into the exact same space one last time. Keep those other picots out of the way. Okay, chain 1, and jump over here to your next double V, and double V into the chain space. And this is what we're going to repeat all the way around. So we're just keeping double V stitches in the chain spaces of our double V's, and then we're doing our chain 3 picot, chain 5 picot, and chain 3 picot in that chain space there, like that. Remember, don't worry about it being crooked or anything. We shape that stuff up later. All right. So that's what it starts to look like. All right, I'll see you at the end of round 3. All right, I'm coming to the end of round 3. I just did my last 3 set of picots. I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to slip stitch into my first double crochet. That will end round 3. Now this snowflake only has 5 rounds. There's only 2 more rounds to go. I'll tell you what, the last round's a doozy. It's not hard. This is time consuming. Alright, at the end of round 3, you should have 6 of these little picot dealies and 6 of the double crochet V-stitches. Okay, for round 4, we're going to slip stitch over into our first chain space of our first double V. And we're going to start making the arms of the snowflake. Alright, so we're in that chain 3 space. We're going to chain 1, and we're going to go back into it, and we're going to work 2 double crochets, just 2. We're not going to do a full double V stitch, so just 2 doubles into that spot. All right, and now we're going to start working arms. Now this is going to be a lot of chain spaces, so keep these chains nice and clean as possible. All right, tight, clean, and try to keep it even. We're going to start off, we have to make loops, all right? Loops that we can put single crochets in on the next round. So we're going to start off by doing a chain of 10. Now we don't want our chains to twist, okay? And we always want to make sure that the right side of our snowflake is facing us. Sometimes it'll twist to the back. Make sure you twist it back around before you do any slip stitching of the chain spaces, which you'll see here in just a second. So we did a nice clean chain of 10. Now what we want to do is we need to make this chain 10 a 7 chain loop. Now in order to do that, we need to slip stitch in the 8th chain from our hook. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 right here. And we need to slip stitch into it. But don't let your chain twist. Try not to if you can. Go right into that. What I like to do when I like to take my chain and pull it towards me like that, so I know it ain't gonna twist up on me. And slip stitch through it like that, and then give it a tug. Look at that. Now we have a 7 chain loop right here. Now we're going to continue on. All right. From here, we have to make a 9 chain loop, and in order to do that, we now need to chain 12. So from right where we just slip stitch, we're going to start again chaining 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And to make a 9 loop, we need to slip stitch in the 10th chain from our hook. So you don't count the one that's on your hook. There it is. You can count backwards if it's easier, because we chained 12. So you would count this as 12, 11, and there's your 10th one. So, you need to go into that 10th one. To make our 9 loop, go into it. Don't let those loops twist. I like to pull it over. That. Slip stitch. And give it a tug. There you go. Now you have a 9 loop. So you have a 7 and a 9. Let's continue on. Now we need to make an 11 loop. And in order to do with the 11 loop, we need to chain 14 now. There's 14. Without twisting your chain, we're going to come down and we're going to slip stitch into the 12th chain from our hook. Pull that loop towards you. Hold it there. Slip stitch. That. Take your working yarn. Give it a tug. Now you have an 11 loop. Now we're going to make our biggest loop of our arm, which is a 13 loop. So we're going to need to chain 16 now. Alright, there's 16. Now without twisting it, excuse me, we need to slip stitch in the 14th chain from our hook. This one right here. Count down 14 from your hook and slip stitch. There it is. All right. Not finished yet, but that's what we have. So there's our tallest loop. Is a 13 chain loop. All right. And then we have an 11, a 9, and a 7. What we need to do now is, so we only make one of the tallest loop, a 13 chain, but on the other side we need to make an 11, a 9, and a 7. But in order to do that, we just continue on making loops in a straight line. All right, and I'll show you how we connect them here in just a second. All right, let's continue on, and we're going to do an 11 chain. So we need to chain 14 to do the 11 chain. Double crochet in the 12th from the hook. I'm sorry, slip stitch in the 12th from the hook. Slip stitch. Slip stitch. Alright, now we're going to do our 9 loop, which we have to chain 12. Slip stitch in the 10th from our hook. Okay, one more loop for this arm is our 7 loop, and we have to chain 10 for that. Slip stitch in the 8th from our hook. All right, here's what we got. So we got our long chain up here, or our long tall loop, 2 side loops the same, and they gradually get smaller down. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 total loops for the arm. And now what we're gonna do, don't let it twist up here like I just did. Sorry. Okay. Now we're going to work a chain of 3. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to go back into the very first double crochet that we worked 2 doubles in, and we're going to work 2 more doubles in it. All right. So you got that chain 3 on your hook, yarn over, try not to twist up that arm, and go into that space and double crochet once, and then double crochet twice. All right, so that's how you make, well, that's like, we'll call that's like the frame of the arm. The next round will make the arm, make it look like it does. All right. Okay, now we're gonna move on, and now we're gonna work a chain of 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we're just going to skip over. We're going to jump over this picot, set of 3 picots from the previous row, and into the next double V-stitch, the chain 2 space of it. We got a chain 7 on our hook. We're going to work 2 double crochets in it. So there's 1 and 2. Now that is a repeat, because now we just did those chain 2s. We got to do the arm again. So the only thing that goes right here for now is a chain 7. So let's go ahead and do that arm one more time. So we're going to start off with the 7 loop. So we got to do a chain 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Slip stitch into the 1/8 from our hook, and that will create a chain 7 loop. Okay, up next we're going to chain 12. And we're going to slip stitch in the 10th from our hook. And that will make a 9 loop. Chain 14. Slip into the 12th from the hook. That makes our 11 loop. And now we have to make our 12th loop. Chain 16. And slip stitch into the 14th from our hook. And that will create our 13 chain loop, which is the tallest. Now we work back down, okay? And we're going to chain 14. And we're going to slip stitch into the 12th from our hook. And that will create our 11 loop. Now we're going to chain 14. Excuse me, I'm sorry, 12. There's 12. Slip stitch into the 10th from your hook. And that will create our 9 loop. One more. And chain 10. Slip stitch into the 8th from your hook, and that will create our last chain 7. So it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 loops. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Without twisting this up, we're going to come down, we're going to put 2 double crochets into that same space that we put 2 doubles in before. There's 1 and 2, and now you have your second arm frame for your arm. Okay, and we're gonna chain 7 without splitting your yarn, like chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Cross over these picots right here and into the next double V stitch. We're going to work 2 doubles. 1, excuse me, and 2. and then we start again, making another arm. All right, and we're going to continue doing this, making the arm, and then you have the chain 7s in between where these picots are, all the way around, and you have 6 of these and 6 of these. All right, I'm not going to do it all the way around though. All right, I'm going to cut it short, and I'm going to show you how to do the rest. Okay, so like I said, I cut it short, but you would do it all the way around, and once you make it all the way around, you'd have a chain 7 here after your last arm, and you'd going to go ahead and end by slip stitching into the first double crochet here of this first arm of the snowflake. All right, so never mind if it looks like I'm missing stitches. I'm missing half my snowflake. It's okay. All right, round 5. So what we're going to do, last round. Okay, we're going to slip stitch into the next double crochet. Now on this part, you want to try to keep your single crochets nice and tight, okay? So we are going to start off by putting nice, even, and tight, if you can. Right here in this space, before you get to the loop, we're going to work 3 single crochets, all right? 1, I like to kind of pull it down a bit. 2, and then 1 more is 3. Okay, now we're going to work into the first chain loop of 7. What we're going to do is we are going to go into it, and we're going to work 6 single crochets on this side real quick. All right, so I'm going to go right into it. So it's going to get kind of tight, and I'm going to put 1 single crochet. The first one I like to try to slide down, and you might have to slide them down every once in a while depending on what loop you're on. So that's 1, keep them nice and tight and even. 2, 3, 4. Now remember, this only needs to take up half of the loop, so I gotta slide them down. I got 4. Here's 5, and there's 6. All right, so we got 6 on that side. Now we're gonna do a 7th one right through there, and we're gonna put a picot on this 7th one. All right, we're gonna do a chain 3 picot. So we did 6 single crochets, and then we did 1 more to make 7. On the 7th one, we're going to do a picot. We're going to chain 3 and slip stitch into the side of that one like that. And form your picot. Just like that. Now, we have to do 6 single crochets on this side. So we got 6 on this side, 6 on this side, and 1 in the middle. All right, that's for our chain 7 loop. So we'll go ahead and start up here and work down and do 6. Try to keep them as even as possible. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember, these all go into this loop, and that is 6 on that side. All right, there we go. That loop is finished. Nice. Okay, now we're going to move on to the 9 loop, but before we do that, we have to put in between each of the loops 3 single crochets. So I'm just going to jump out of this loop and single crochet around that chain there. Once that first one, I always like to slide over towards the first loop like that, and then there's 2, and then 1 more makes 3 like that. Now we can jump into our chain 9 loop. Now on this one, we're going to work 8 on this side, and then a 9th one with a picot, and then 8 on this side. All right, so let's jump in and begin. put our first single crochet in there, and I always like to pull that first one down. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember, you got to get 8 in there, so if you need to slide them down, you can by all means. There's 5, 6, 7, 8, and then there's 8 on that side. And now we're going to do a 9th one, which would be the one at the very top, and this is the picot. So we did 8, 1 more for 9, and we're going to put picot on this one. Chain 3, go back into that one, and picot. And now we got to put 8 on the other side of the loop. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and that loop is done. You can move around your single crochets if you want to, but all right, now we're going to move on to the 11 loop. Remember, and now in between each loop there's this little chain here. See it? That always gets 3 single crochets around it. So I'm going to go around it once. It's a little fiddly, sorry. I like to pull my first one over close to that loop, last loop. Alright, that's 1, 2, and 3. Alright, now in the 11th loop, we're going to do 10 on this side. The 11th one is the middle one at the very top that gets the picot, and then 10 on this side. Let's begin. There's 1, which I like to pull that first one all the way down, and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and there's 10. Now the next one, I guess, is the 11th one. It needs to be the center one at the top because it gets the picot, and here it is. That, chain 3, and slip stitch back into the top of it. Alright, now we're going to work down the other side. 10 single crochets on this side. Eight, 9, and 10. That loop is done. All right, now remember we have to put 3 singles in between the loops. I always like to put the first one in and pull it close to that last loop. So there's 1, 2, and 3, and now we're at our tallest loop, and I bet the 13 loop, I bet you can guess what it's going to get. The 13 loop is going to get 12 on this side, 12 on this side, and the one in the middle at the very top. So we do 12, and I call the one in the middle at the very top would be 13, the one with the picot, and then 12 on this side. And that's see how curly they get? They get real bad. That's the way the loops are done. So you just remember what number of loop you're on. So like I said, this is the tallest loop. It's loop 13. So it's going to get the 13th single crochet up here is going to be the picot. And then it's going to get 12 on this side and 12 on this side. And then you work your way back down, making sure you put 3 single crochets in between each loop. Your 11 loop, it's going to be 10 on this side and 10 on this side. I say the 11th one because it's after the first 10 is the one at the point with the picot. 3 singles, the 9th loop. That's the same as the other one. The 9th single is at the very point. It's the picot. So 8 on this side, the very top one, it would be the 9th one with the picot, and 8 on this side. 3 singles here. And your last one here is your small 7th one, the same as your other one. The one at the top point would be the 7th one with the picot. 6 on this side. The one at the point is 7, and 6 on this side. And then once you get down here, I'm going to go ahead and show you what you do. So you've done all that. It's easy to do that. Once you get down here, you would single crochet 3 times into this last chain space here. Sorry, I'm just going to do my 3 singles. All right, here. Sorry, just pretend like I did all those loops. All right, and then we would do 3 singles around this last loop, or this last chain here before these double crochets. Slide it up. There's 1, 2, and 3. And that's how the arms are done. They get really curly. You'll see at the end. And now we would slip stitch into each of these double crochets. 1, 2, and now on the chain 7, this is what all the chain 7s will get. We're going to put 5 single crochets into it. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we put 5 singles. And now we're going to do the 6th one. Make sure it's in line with the top of this picot. So we got 5 over here, 5 singles. And the 6th one should be near the middle of this. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to put a 6th one, and I'm going to do a picot on it. But this time I'm going to do a 5 chain picot. So I'm going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go back into that 6th stitch there and slip stitch like we do the picots. There's that. And now we're going to do 5 single crochets on this side. So we did 5, and then the next one was the picot, 5 chain picot, and then 5 more for a total of 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we just start again, slip stitching into these 2 double crochets. 1, 2, and then we're at the arm, and we do the same thing that we did at the other arm. 3 single crochets here, and then in the 7th, the smallest one, the 7th spot, 6 on this side, 6 on this side. The middle one up here, the 7th one, because you do 6, and 7th one, picot. 3 singles in between, the 9 gets 8, 8, and 1 with a picot. 3 singles, the 9 loop, I'm sorry, the 11 loop, gets 10 on this side, 10 on this side, and the one at the very top, one more at the very top with the picot. 3 singles, and the tallest loop, the 13 loop, gets 12 singles on this side, 12 on this side, and then one more at the very top with the picot, and repeat it all the way on the other side, the same thing. 3 here. Yeah, and you just continue that same manner all the way around. Like I said, it's not hard at all, but remember, it will get really, really curly. And then when you make it down to your chain, make it down your arm. You want to make sure you put 3 singles here, slip stitch into your next 2 doubles, and then over your chain 7 space. I'm sorry, I'm backwards here. Over your chain 7 space, it gets 5 singles, and then the 6th one, the middle one, get it kind of lined up with this picot down here. You put a chain 5 picot on it, and then you do 5 more. So a total of 11. The 6th one, the middle one, gets a chain of 5 picot. All right, and you continue that all the way around. And when you make it back around, you'll have 6 of the arms, 6 of the of these, and then that's where I'll meet back up with you. Now remember, I'm gonna meet back up with you, and the yarn's gonna be white because it's gonna be my white snowflake, and I'm gonna show you how to stiffen it and block it, because you're not doing anything wrong. I mean, it's gonna be all super curly, like it's gonna look really weird. All right, I'll see you in a second. You got this. All right, once you make it all the way around, I'm gonna be showing you, I'm taking you to another color, because this took me a long time to make, and it hurt my hands, so I don't think I could do another full one again. But you just end by slip stitching there into your first double crochet, and then I see how curly it looks. Yeah, it's kind of, it looks like that, but that's okay, because we're going to be blocking it, and now it's going to take some time to block it and make it look and stiffen it. But this is a smaller version. It's not this one, it's a different one I did. But see how good it looks. I could take this off, unpin this right now, and it's hard. Like, you know, can you hear it? It'll stay in shape, hard. It won't flop around. So that's what we're gonna do with this one. And I know it looks like, what the heck is this curly stuff? But what we'll do, we're gonna redo that right now. We just gotta hide our tails. Is we'll, you know, I'll show you what, you know, how we do it, and then we just have to get it all pinned down to our board with the glue or whatever you're going to use to block it. And once it's pinned down in the correct form that you want it to look, well, then you just let it dry. All right, I'm going to try to show you the best that I can. So you want to get your blocking board set up, or whatever you're using to block on. You can block on anything, like I mentioned in the beginning of the video. You want to go and take your snowflake and wet it down really good in the water. Doesn't just cold water is fine. Get it really wet, and then wring it out really, really good. Like put it in a towel and kind of roll it and smash the towel down, and so wring it out, you know, so it's, you know, not dripping water and stuff like that. This part's kind of messy, so if you want to lay something down so you don't want messy. So in here is, I put Mod Podge water mix. I put like probably a quarter water to 3/4 Mod Podge. I don't do 50-50. I do like 75-25. 25 being the water, only because I don't want to have to redo it later. Like I said, this part's messy. Take your snowflake, and you have to immerse it in there, and you got to make sure it gets totally covered. I mean, let it soak in there for like, you know, a little bit. Move it around, and yeah, make sure it gets completely, you get completely messy, and it gets completely messy. So I'm just going to shove it in there like that, and I'm going to let it soak for a minute. just a minute or two. And then I'm gonna get something to wipe up my mess here. Okay, I have a towel here. So I'm gonna pull it up now. And what you want to do is you want to wring as much of this liquid out as you can, preferably in the cup. Or if you want to do it over the sink, that would be easier too. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go take it in there to the sink and I'm going to wring it out. I'm not going to rinse it. I'm going to leave this all on there, but I'm just going to wring out as much of it as I can. Alright, now I'm ready. Now this part is just time consuming. So you want to get the right side of it facing you. And I put two blocking boards in here because I wasn't sure how long these were going to stretch out, if they were going to stretch out past it. So I'm going to start. Yeah, they're going to go further. That's okay. I knew they would. I'll have to get another board. Yeah, I'll get one in a second. Alright, so I like to start from the center. I'm going to get another board and hook it up here. So, alright, I like to start from the center and work my way out. Blocking isn't, to me, it's not easy. Especially things like this. Because it's so hard to get them all, you know, to look proper. And there's picots and all kinds of stuff. It takes a lot of pins and it takes a lot of time. So I'm going to lay this stuff out here. And try to get it all twisted around the way that it's supposed to be. And eventually, you know, the glue starts drying on you and stuff. And, you know, but that's just the way it works. You just work through it, I guess. And this is just kind of a basic rough draft of how you want it. Alright, I wouldn't pin it down until you get everything the way that you want it. And then you can start pinning and making sure everything straight. And all the picots, you got to pin them down and everything like that. And, you know. So these are all twisting up on me. You want to kind of make sure they're opened up. However open you want them to be anyways. You know, everybody's going to want theirs different. So, do it however you want, I guess. It's your Snowflake. Okay. I guess I need my blocking board down here, don't I? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and fiddle with this before I put any more pins in. I just got the one in the center. And get it laid out kind of halfway normal looking. And then I'll come back and I'll show you where I usually stick the pins. Just try to keep them in the best shape as possible. Alright, so I got kind of the gist of it out here. So I take my pins and I start from the middle and work my way out. So, and like I said, these snowflakes, they usually take quite a few pins because, you know, you got all kinds of little pieces and whatnot. So I'm going to try to get it all opened up how it's supposed to be. Because once it dries, you know, it's going to stay that way. So you want it to look how it's supposed to look. And then you can place a pin. Maybe I'm too picky, I don't know. And remember, these are picots here, so I'm going to go ahead and pin them down real quick. And we had 3, didn't we? It's so hard to get through cotton. So I'm going to put a pin in each one of those picots. Like that. And then I'm going to go do the one on the opposite direction. Stretch it a bit. Oh, I got pins here loaded up. I load pins up on my blocking board. Okay. And then I'm going to go over here. Now you block, if you block all the time, you block however you want, you know. Not really right or wrong way to do it, just whatever is easiest for you. Whatever works for you works for me. My hands are in the way, you probably can't see anything, can you? I don't know why I keep taking pins from that. I have pins in my hand, or in my board. Okay, I'm gonna get these all down here. Alright. Now on the leaf, or I keep calling them leaves, they kind of look like leaves. You have to decide, you can decide how wide you want them to be open. Like each piece, try to get them all about the same. And these as well, you can decide how wide you want those. Each one to be open. And then once you get it, you pin it however you want it to look. I think I'll just start with this one right here. I'm actually going to pin a pin right here in this bottom of this V-stitch. Okay. And let's see. I'm going to go with the very top picot. I'm going to pull this just a bit. I'm going to pin that right there. Alright. Now I want... You know what? I'm not going to pull it that much. I want that to be open a bit like that. So, take a pin. When you put a pin in on these, try to go at an angle. Because sometimes, if you're using cotton, sometimes it will snag it up. You don't want that to happen. Here we go. And then I'm going to go to my next one. Let's see. And this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to keep doing this until, for hours probably, until I get it to look like how I want it to look. And that's all there is to it. And then once it's on the blocking board like you like, well, you just got to let it dry. Drying time depends on where you know, where you're from. Sometimes it could take a day. Sometimes it could take 3 days, 4 days. Now, if you feel like it's like still a little bit like it's dry, but you know it's not as stiff as you want it to be, that's why I always say after that I use spray starch if that happens to me, and I spray it with spray starch again, let it dry again, and keep doing that until it's how I want it to be. I'll put a pin probably up here too. Takes a lot of pins. You want it to stay. So I think that little snowflake over there has over 100 pins in it. Alright. But I'm probably an excessive pinner. Alright, I'm going to get this all pinned down. Alright, there it is. I think I mentioned in the beginning of the video that mine wasn't all the way dry. I did spray it with this. Which, yeah, sprayed it a few times and stiff and dried up. And then, I'm not done, but I'm going to put some beads on them, or, yeah, little things on them, decorate it, but hot glue, I'll hot glue those on. That's it. That's all there is to it. I hope you enjoyed my tutorial. If you make this, come show me on Facebook, okay? I'd really like to see a picture. I would. I like to see what type of yarn you used. If you used a smaller yarn, maybe see how small it is, or if you used a bigger yarn, what color you chose, how you decorated, or if you didn't decorate. However you did it, I want to see it. So if you enjoyed, don't forget to hit that like button, excuse me, and hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys on my next one. Take care.